Hello everyone, I'm Mithra. Welcome back. It is part 5, the final part. We are now recapping Season 2 of My Kingdom Death Monster Let's Play. We have the first 3 parts were Season 1, and then these last 2 parts, 4 and 5, are Season 2. This part will finish out to where we ended Season 2. Currently. If I do continue it, it will be Season 2.5, so it's no longer confused with these 5 episodes. So, with that said, this part will also include some the ending of Season 2, right? This will be the actual ending, the storyline ending, that stuff that does not happen in the actual gameplay because I ended the season. So this will be the actual ending, and I'll leave it off, and then I'll tell you where we intend to go, the possibilities for Season 2.5, where to go with Season 2 itself, where I'm hoping to go, and what to do with Season 4. So, when we left off, we had the dark water from the Slenderman. Lightning had just eaten it. She'd killed the Slenderman, gotten the death blow card. The thing explodes into seeds and water. Some of it gets in her mouth, and when you eat that stuff, it messes with the survivor. It resets them. They lose all their disorders, they lose all their memories, they gain a new name and all this new stuff. And for Lightning, it let her Twilight Sword speak to her again, because her mental locks had been broken. The mental locks put onto her by the archivist. With this, she allowed the sword to talk to her. The sword convinced her again of her name actually being Kenna, where she is that person. All those memories that she was suppressed, the sword convinced her that, you know what, that's actually you. All those things, everyone else has been telling you a lie. They're just trying to make you forget and then use you. That's what the sword has been telling her. And remember, originally, when she was exiled, she went crazy because, lack of no social interaction, anything. So when the sword, she envisioned the sword speaking to her. Unbeknownst to her, the swords were actually sentient. So when she would actually grab it, the sword used that as an advantage. Now with the dark water, she can hear it speaking to her now. And that is a problem for Twilight Knights. The problem with the relic weapons are you can lose complete control, right? They can gain control of your body. That's their final goal. So this is a problem. Having no more locks presents a problem for her. But at the same time, she's uninhibited now, right? She's Kenna. Remember, Kenna was more of a outgoing person, more talkative, more than everything. With the locks on Lightning, she never talked really to anybody. So she becomes more of a free spirit, right? And this enables her to be more happy about the challenge, right? Before, she was mindless like a Terminator. Like I said, she's just killing things out, acting like a machine, killing it because that's what she's supposed to do. Now she can gain joy in it because the way Kenna was a free spirit. So that's what the sword wants, right? The sword wants uninhibited rage from somebody. Well, not rage, that's more of a butcher's thing, but just uninhibited power, right? That's something they can use the body to its fullest extent until they find someone else. They're just going to burn through the body. That's what the sword wants, and it's going to disguise that as ambition. So, for Kenna now, waking up after this fight with the Slenderman, she wakes up back in the settlement, and Yisa's there, and everyone else who's been hunting with her. This is a huge, flip of a switch. This is a drastic 180, completely alternate side. She's talkative. She's going by the name of Kenna. She says that, she's ready to go out for hunting. She's ready to embolden the settlement, ready to build strength in the settlement, just like the way that Kenna used to do it. Whereas Lightning used to envision power coming from a strong individual, Kenna saw power being within the individuals themselves, acting as a collective. So now complete stark 180. Before, Lightning went out and fought everything as the Twilight Knight. Had to go out every single time. Now, Lightning's still going to go out every single time, but she's going to do it under the name of Kenna, and she's going to do it for a totally different purpose, which is very blatantly obvious and very blatantly disturbing to the settlement. Right? Yisa notices this right away, because Yisa's going to continue going out with her. Right? Now, survivors themselves in the Kingdom Death world are very, easily influenced, even by monsters themselves. In the game, many of the things, they like to imitate monsters. Many of the things they see a monster doing, they'll start doing it. You can see this in Roundstone training, when, you go out, you see the survivor becomes infatuated with the fact that this dung beetles can roll a dung ball all around the amount of effort and strength. So then you gain the innovation of the Roundstone training. They want to imitate it. It's the same thing with Flower Knight. When you kill it, you get the fencing, the sword. I forget what it's called, but you get another innovation for swords. It's the same thing with these other campaigns, not the People of the Lantern. So with Dragon King, where survivors, they meet the tyrant and they just do everything he says and believes everything he's saying, and they'll worship him. They do whatever he tells them. They always believe. They're very impressionable. Same thing with the Sunstalker, People of the Sun. They just happen upon a pool where Sunstalkers are spawning, and they just raise them because that's what they feel they should be doing. You'll see the same thing in the Gambler's Chest, where they just stumble upon the gambler with his sleeping ball that he's holding, and they're just going to do whatever he says and clean his robes for him and all that stuff, and they're just going to live there with him because they're very easily influenced. Survivors are not super smart, at all, when it comes to, thinking for themselves. I don't even know if they have the capability of really thinking for themselves. They might need assistance from monsters to even think to innovate for themselves. So, the same thing happened to this settlement. Sure, they're around the Lantern Horde, but they had Lightning, right? They had this Twilight Knight, so they have been imitating her, right? Yisa uses a sword because Lightning was using a sword. Might as well, right? She can do it. I'll do it. Yisa they start going to imitate her. Yisa wants to be the same exact thing. They work together as a team when they kill monsters. Yisa uses a sword. Yisa's wearing a cloak, just like Lightning uses. That's just how survivors are. So that's why this change, this huge drastic personality difference, is not only noticeable by everybody, because everybody treated her like a tyrant, basically, right? She was the focus of all their daily routine and everything, but it's disturbing. Very disturbing at the same time. Very noticeable, but you have to start wondering, that's a sudden, drastic change. You have to start wondering to yourself, can you actually rely on one person the way we were doing? Can we rely on a single Twilight Knight being around us to protect us from everything? Is that a valid concern that we should be investing in? And it's something the settlement needs to start to think about with her, right? What if this is like I was saying, monsters, they follow, the Kingdom Death storytelling falls around a life cycle. This could be the end, this could be the beginning of the end for Lightning, this just drastic change. So they're not going to initially question it. They're going to do their day-to-day thing. Lightning is very strong. You don't want to really call her out right away. Also, she's going by Kenna now, and has been spouting that she's always been that, and she doesn't remember this other stuff that you're talking about, that they're telling her. So you just go on a hunt, right? Now, with this personality, they say, you know what? Just like what Kenna did with the Dung Beetle Knight, right? But she wanted to do at the end of her life. She wanted to do the Dung Beetle Knight. She wanted to entertain Lightning by going out to get the Gorm and all those other things. She wants a big challenge to prove that collectively we are strong. So what do you do when you want a big challenge to collectively prove how worthy you are? Well, you fly too close to the sun, right? That's what you do. So you just point. In the sky, there's always been this sun-like presence that just floats around in the sky. And why don't we go hunt the sun, literally? So Yisa and Lightning, they set out and they're going to go hunt Sunstalkers now. Prove their worth. Prove how, or Kenna, I should say, Kenna and Ysa go out and fight. To prove their worth, right? To prove how strong they are as a settlement. So they go, they find Sunstalkers. Sunstalkers, what they are in the world of Kingdom Death, they're like this massive, like, squid-like thing that, you know, lives in the flies, swims around above the darkness. Sunstalkers emit light. That's why survivors confuse them with the sun. There's a lot of cool things that happen. Sunstalkers are used quite a bit in outside of just being a quarry, right? They also have a complete people of the sun, where you see their whole lifestyle, you see their eggs, you see how they're raised, you see what they're born, and they come down and all that stuff. But even outside of that, right? There's the biggest ancient Sunstalker is tied to the Storm Knight's castle, right? The Storm Knight is this thing that challenges survivors and stuff, and it's not completely explained how exactly, but he's assumed to be dealing with the hand, with the swordsman promise and all that stuff. He's assumed to be all that stuff, and whenever he kills someone who comes to challenge him, he tied the ancient Sunstalker around his castle to the highest peak to try to even the playing field, right? Because when survivors would come and challenge him and fight him in the darkness, or monsters would fight him in the darkness, he was way too powerful. So he tied the sun so it would brighten it up around it, so it would give them a better chance at, when they dueled. And whenever he defeats an opponent, the rain comes down and there's lights. So this is what the settlement event, the lights in the distance, whatever that settlement event's called, it's probably relating to that. The same thing with the sword oath. When you grab a sword and it starts to rain and there's a flash of light, that's the same exact thing. It's all related back to this. This is something that you'll see more of, I think, with Atlas and the Gambler's Chest. It looks like that stuff will probably be tied into there. We've seen some images of it. But so Sunstalkers, not only are they like an individual case of lore, but they're spread out throughout the entire world. A lot of their effects are there because they are a natural source of light. So why not go hunt one? So Kenna and Ysa, they go, they fight, they kill Sunstalkers, they go back, they kill them again, they fight multiples of them, they start making gear from them. They've proved themselves now that they are really strong, right? But on returning from one of the Sunstalkers, then they get the regal visit, just like they had before, where the hand comes. In this case, the hand instantly killed someone upon his visit, and then the other, and then he left, and then he'd say he'd come back. Now again, Kenna doesn't remember any of this from season 1 or anything. The dark water completely erased all her memories and everything. So they just have to fight the hand again. They do the same exact tactics with their hand fight. They defeat the hand, and then the hand rewards you with, attribute. And Kenna and Ysa both get the great roll. So they both get their increase of huge amounts of stat bonuses. This keeps furthering and furthering the idea that single survivors can be really powerful. The sword itself really likes this because it's gaining a lot of strength. Lightning's body, or Kenna's body, is it continually just getting increasingly stronger, which is great for the sword, which is exactly what it wants. So now with the hand defeated, well, as much as you can call it a defeat, with the hand handing out his rewards, they decide to go and fight a Gorm. Now, the reason why you would fight a Gorm is because, there's been talk around settlements that Gorms have this rare material of Gormite, right? They've been using the alchemist, they've been fighting Gorms. They have a theory that if you just build the alchemist high enough, they could make a amazing material called Gormite. And this Gormite could make a pretty powerful weapon. So, why would they think that they need a really powerful weapon? Well, you have this new Kenna, right? You need something, right? The settlement is kind of unsure exactly where the mental state of Lightning is, right? She's calling herself Kenna. She's doing all this weird stuff. It's probably in your best interest. What if she just goes more insane, right? What if she just completely turns on the settlement or whatever? You never know. So you need to build this failsafe. Your best hope would be for Yisa to have this failsafe. So you could make yourself a very, very, very powerful weapon. And as I was saying earlier, where the survivors are very impressionable, right? They want to make a Twilight Knight of their own, right? You've got Yisa. She's been hunting with Lightning / Kenna this entire time. She's super powerful. She's been imitating Lightning. She's a sword master almost at this point. So you make her a super powerful sword, and then maybe you could defend yourself against Lightning if she goes crazy. So, with that, they set out to fight Gorms. After 2 or 3 Gorms, Yisa and Kenna, they go out and fight because, Kenna's willing. She just wants to go out and fight whatever it is they say. Tough fight? Sure, let's go. That's what she wants. She wants to improve everybody. She wants to get the settlement as strong as they possibly can be. Sounds great to her. So she willingly goes. They make the Black Sword a very, very, very powerful sword. This sword is definitely stronger than a Twilight Order sword. How much stronger? Who knows? It's definitely one of the strongest things you can make as a survivor, that's for sure. So now you've got this in the hands of Yisa. This makes Yisa probably on par with Lightning, might even be a little bit better than Lightning as far as, efficiency for damage goes. So now Yisa's equipped with the Black Sword, a unbelievably powerful weapon that could probably protect the settlement with or without Lightning / Kenna. So what do? Well, you're going to have to go out and fight some more valuable, or not valuable, but you're going to have to go fight some more higher stakes quarries, right? How strong is this Black Sword? What can you what can you test the Black Sword on, right? Why not go seeking a god or something like that, right? You already fought the sun. Is there any more super gods you can think of? But first, before they can even go out, the Butcher appears. Another Butcher. So they're going to have to fight a second one. A level 2 Butcher comes. Now, the Butcher is much the same as it was Season 1, level 2 Butcher. This is when originally it killed people, right? This was one of the trigger points for Lightning in Season 1, because it killed her sons and killed Kenna and her dad, and Kenna's dad in the level 2 Butcher. But she doesn't remember any of this. And you now have, instead of where Season 1 you had a whole bunch of survivors all pulling their weight and all fighting at different times and doing their share of the fighting and doing their shares of the hunting, here you just have pretty much Kenna and Yisa. So these two get sent out to fight the Butcher this time, right? And they're going to win. They overcome a level 2 Butcher. Not that Kenna would remember that, or not that Lightning would remember this, but it's something she had always wanted to do. And what the two of them work amazingly together, since they are much stronger. They have been working as a team this entire time. All these 20, or what is it now, 15 Lantern years have gone by. They've gone on multiple hunts together. They are impressively strong. Impressively strong. So much so that they attack in combination with one another, right? They have synchronized strike. They have the Butcher, when they take it down, Yisa stabs it in the back, and as it turns, Lightning attacks it in the back, and then Yisa decapitates it. All part of the same exact attack. They surge together. They work well together. They stack wounds during each other's attacks. Great team. They're a great duo. They, as I said, they decapitate the Butcher. The Butchers are weird when they're decapitated. Their body remains like standing, and it just stands there menacingly. Who knows what happens to it? But when this happens, it triggers, again, stat growth, which both Kenna and Yisa both partake in. They both roll high. They both get it. However, this does trigger the see the truth moment. The same thing that Kenna had. This triggers it now Yisa this time. And she, at the end of the butcher fight, she sees a vision of her death. She gets a, what is it? Sweet death. Or no, sour. She gets a sour death. Kenna has sweet death. The sour death, again, you see the way you're going to die. Kenna does not see the same exact thing. Or no, Lightning does not see the same thing as Kenna saw, right? Yisa does not see the same thing that Kenna saw. Original Kenna, not Lightning. Yisa doesn't. She sees a vision of her death, but she doesn't. She can't make out what it is. Whereas when Kenna saw it, she saw Lightning killing her. This she doesn't. She doesn't see what her death. She doesn't know exactly what will be held for her. But she gets a sweet death, and she goes blind again, just like the way that Kenna did back in season 1. So she has to wear an eye patch over her eye. And this is very reminiscent of exactly what happened to Kenna in season 1. So she appears to be more and more taking a resemblance toward what Kenna looked like. Now, as I said, they fight Lion Gods, was the next one on the list. Lion God are these massive white lions. Well, they're not really white lions. They're a weird thing that the lore is not 100% accurate on. They've got a parasite in them, like a worm, which is like in them, that has changed the appearance to make them look like they do. What exactly the lion god originally looked like, it's not exactly explained. However, it was part of this gigantic silver city, which then has fell and now has become pretty much like a necropolis. In the best sense of the word, that's what it's called in the game, but it's pretty much that. It's just a dead, there's just, like lights, floating lights down there, and weird noises and wavering smoke, and you never know exactly what's down there. Could be not exactly ghosts, but you don't know exactly what's down there. But nothing alive down there for sure. Likely, who knows? But that's what it is. It's just, and this thing oversees that area, and when you get around it, it comes out. So why not fight it? Again, they're out. Kenna and Yisa are out to prove themselves, to prove how strong they are. So they fight lion gods, kill the lion god, return back, and this is when finally the trigger again hits for Slenderman. And the trigger for Slenderman is again someone with the blotted out fighting art, recalling the horrors of the Slenderman, and Slenderman will manifest via these deep recessed memories. The thinking about it is what draws it out. And it just so happens that it was within Yisa this time that brought it out, because she had the fighting art from originally. So returning from the lion god, she recalls the Slenderman, and now you have to fight it a second time. The Slenderman, again, is a very weird fight where it can trap you in the pod imprisonment, and it can trap you in its off the showdown board and then kill you, and it teleports around, and it maneuvers itself behind you, and it has I think the level 2 is the one with the icy touch, or I forget. No, icy touch is its trap. I forget what the level 2 adds specifically, but they have to fight it again, and when they kill it again, you're going to get more dark water, and the same exact thing. So when Yisa and Kenna go to fight it, same thing happens. It's the same. They fought one before. They know what they're doing. You wait. They wait for it to teleport around. Wait for it to re-manifest right around as many people as they can, and then you attack all at one time. And just like I just said with the Butcher level 2, Kenna and Yisa are great with Synchronized Strike, working together for the surge attacks, for multiple amounts of damage, rapid damage in a quick succession, rather than one attack at a time. They are great at stacking damage. And that's how they handle this. That's how they handle, once again, the Slenderman. Again, they deal the death blow to the Slenderman. It explodes. Same person again. Kind of kills it. Gets the dark water within her. Gets the little pods, seeds that explode like a pomegranate when you kill it. Gets in her mouth. Again, same thing. Falls down. Collapses. And needs to be brought back to the settlement. Now, again, this same thing happens. It's going to erase your disorders. It will erase your, it clears up your disorders. It erases your memories, and it gives you a new name. That's what it does mechanically. And for Kenna this time, it stops the sword talking. It doesn't reset the mind locks, but it resets Lightning back to herself. But not back to where she was at the start of Season 2. It reset her back to where she ended Season 1. She now remembers everything she's done. She remembers the sword talking to her. She remembers the Twilight Order speaking with her. She remembers what happened to her settlement, and she remembers what her settlement is, or what the Lantern Horde is. It resets her completely back. She's now no longer hearing the sword talking to her, that sword on her back, and she's no longer got the mind. Well, as far as she knows, she no longer has the mind locks. They've been completely eroded. But most importantly, as soon as she awakes and goes back to consciousness, she sees a Lantern Horde. A Lantern Horde that is dying out. She knows exactly what this is, and instantly tells everybody that they need to fight it as fast as possible. So, right after, as soon as she awakes, they go down into the cocoon that is the Lantern Horde, where you will find the Sleeping Watcher. Again, she's going to cut it open with her Twilight Sword. It's going to send the Watcher out. It's going to awaken the Watcher, and you're going to have to fight it. Again, she wants to do this as fast as possible. She has the strength with Yisa and her right away. This is a incredibly easy fight this time. The way the Twilight Swords work, because they are designed to fight Watchers, they get more powerful as you master them. It was the goal of the Twilight Order. It is the goal of the sword itself is killing these Watchers. Lightning obliterates this thing. Not only mechanically you get 2, all your wounds do double damage to it. No, even more. You get devastating 2 when you're fighting it. So it's like 3 times you do a regular damage. So she's 3 times more efficient at killing things when it happens to be a Watcher. And Yisa and her just destroy this thing. I think it lasted 2 rounds, if that, when I fought it. And with that, that's the end of the Watcher. Now, what to do with Lightning, right? She now remembers everything she said, right? She doesn't remember she was calling herself Kenna, but she remembers fighting the Sunstalker. She remembers fighting the Lion God. She remembers all those things. She just doesn't remember all that Kenna stuff. She doesn't remember the sword talking to her. All those things have just been erased after she ate the dark water. And she was so riled up, she just went and fought the Watcher. There was no real moment here. She was in such a frantic pace. There was no real slow down moment to stop and think about it. Now, she's calling herself Lightning again. She doesn't remember all that stuff. Again, this triggers the settlement. This girl is clearly, got a couple screws loosed. I don't know how much longer we can keep her around. Now, for Lightning's sake, she's used to being in exile, right? When the settlement when the settlement's like, ooh, right, a little bit of slow down. Let's you need to slow down and think, maybe separate themselves a little bit more from Lightning. She's gonna be like, okay, this feels very familiar, right? She's on borrowed time as it is. She doesn't know what's going to happen now that her locks are broken. She doesn't know what's happened if the sword's going to start talking to her again. She's lost as well in her own situation. What if she becomes a liability, right? So she's finally, now that she's now lived 2 full lives, pretty much, now that she has lived in Kenna's shoes, but doesn't know that she was calling herself that, she's remorseful, right? She's not going to she's seen the fault in what happens when one person's super strong, right? It's not the best way to go. She has examples now with the Twilight Knight falling, the one that befriended her, the one that gave her the sword. She knows he fell. She's felt it firsthand with the sword talking to her, all that stuff. She knows strength is finite. She knows that perhaps strength is always going to lead to a downfall, right? She's had to fight butchers after butcher after butcher, hand after hand, Slenderman, Kingsman, all these things that just mess with survivors. She's been humbled. She's just going to say, all right, I'm clearly causing the settlement some angst here. I'm stressing them out. Perhaps I should just leave, right? The archivist is going to come back. Perhaps I'll just go do exactly the same thing. So she willingly just backs up. She says goodbye to Ysa, all those things. Ysa's got her super awesome black sword. Ysa is pretty much what Lightning does is Yisa's been a friend to her forever, right? This whole time, she's just going to say her farewells, and that's it, right? Passing the torch to Ysa, right? Ysa can do it. Ysa can protect the settlement. There's no need for Lightning to be around anymore. Maybe she's a liability. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's a ticking time bomb. Who knows if she's going to have another reset? Who knows what will happen the next time the sword takes control of her? So that's it. She's just willingly going to leave like a stranger in the dark. She's bouncing. So she willingly leaves the settlement, wanders off into the darkness, knowing that those Twilight Order is going to track her down. Doesn't take long. She is 100% correct. Once the Twilight Order sees the Lantern Horde's gone, Lightning's kind of going to stick around, wait around for them, and they meet up. It is the Archivist with the survivor Aya and another survivor, and then no Twilight Knight. Right? No one knows. Who knows what happened to Twilight Knight? Lightning doesn't know. So when the Archivist approaches, Archivist is just going to assume everything's all well and good. Congratulates Lightning. Says, good job, you complete the Watcher. Welcome to the Twilight Order. You are now a Twilight Knight initiative, right? Or initiate. You are good enough, right? But again, those locks are not in place on Lightning. They've been broken by the dark water. Lightning is not just emotionless to the surprise of the Archivist. She's got personality. So, Inquisitive Lightning asks, where's your Twilight Knight, right? And the Archivist, not expecting backtalk from someone who should be completely locked out, who should just be a blank slate with zero personality, open to be molded by the Archivist. She's like, we have to find him? He's gone. I don't know where he went. So I've recruited these other people, and I came back to get you, so let's go do what you're supposed to do? No. Lightning's not exactly having any of that. She's going to help save that Twilight Knight, but she doesn't know what she wants from the Order, which is super interesting now. So, here's where we get to the ending of Season 2. Well, that was the ending. Well, now we've talked about the actual legit ending of Season 2. But going forward, here's the situations. You have Ysa, who's left back in the settlement. Ysa has pretty much been passed the torch to from Lightning. Lightning bounced. Yisa's just there. She's got her whole hood. She's got her everything. She's got her black sword. She is a super powerhouse, just like what Lightning was. But you also have now Lightning, who has re-met up with the Twilight Archivist, which is the name, or her name is Forget, I think. And you have her traveling with Aya, the red-headed survivor, and one other survivor who I don't think has been given a name. This is where this season will go, right? The finale of this is that lost Twilight Knight, the one that is lost, that the Archivist doesn't know where it is, doesn't know where to find it or whatever, has come back for Lightning. Lightning's basically that Archivist replacement. What to do with her What to you? What's she with Aya for? Why are they traveling around? Why she got extra muscle? Her Twilight Knight's gone. That is the Butcher vignette that we were supposed to get, like Gen Con 2020 or Gen Con 2019, I think. 2020, when the one was canceled. And then we didn't get it even after that. We still, who knows when we'll get it or whatever, if we ever even will get it. Assuming we get it, that is where I'm going to go next with Season 2. I'm going to take the Butcher vignette, and I'm going to sub Lightning in for one of the survivors. And we'll see what happens when they fight that Butcher, and whatever the story is there for what happened with that Twilight Knight or whatever. That's where Lightning's story needs to go. I can't do it now because that is an unreleased vignette. I thought I would have it a long time ago by this time. He said we would have it 2 years ago, but we don't. So it is what it is. The other thing, if I continue Season 2.5, you have Yisa back in the settlement. She's got her black sword. She's got her cloak on. She's got all of her stuff. She's imitating Lightning just the way they were. Just like all survivors do. They imitate the thing, the core monster, or they imitate monsters. That's what they do. So she would adopt the rules that were mechanically placed on Lightning, where she needed to depart all the time, and she's ageless, and she can't, certain things can't affect her. So I would continue with the same exact rules, continue with Yisa replacing Lightning, and continue to the end with Gold Smoke Knight. Now, Season 4 is something where I can begin. So, Season 4 will be open to all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to talk about Season 4 now, but it is what I plan on doing the most, more so than Season 2.5. Season 2.5, I would like to be able to kill a Gold Smoke Knight before I continued Season 2.5. That seems like where Yisa would want to go, and that involves Ivory Dragon. So I would much rather continue Season 2.5 when I can actually give Yisa something to accomplish, and that's beating a Gold Smoke Knight. The thing that Lightning told her might happen. That would be great. But as for Season 4, that's where I'm going to go. That's where the next thing I'm going to do before Gambler's Chest comes out. I'll probably do another recap. That would be great. I'd love to do another recap after Season 4 comes out, so everybody who watches Season 4, I'll be able to track it. I had to watch all the things back. I had to write all the script down, all my notes for all the episodes, all the highlights of everything. But with Season 4, I'll be able to make them as I go. A much more stable, congruent narrative driven throughout. I'll still let the game build it for me, but I'll be able to have much more focus and write the notes as I go, because I'll know I want to do this. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like narrative content, I have made an entire narrative expansion for Kingdom Death. It is a homebrew expansion. I did 2 videos on it on this channel, so if you like narrative content, make sure you check out Curse. She is much exactly like this story. Curse is a survivor inflicted by King's Curse who just wanders in your settlement, and then she has an entire story written all about her, and you can live through all of her story, her entire life cycle. So, there's that you can check out if you like narrative stuff. Otherwise, Season 4 is coming. I look forward to doing it, and I'll see you in the next Lantern Year.